कृष्ण। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव जय बिहारी, जय बिहार, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1st, Chapter 17th, Punishment and Reward of Kali, Text 18. Navayam klesha bijani yatasyu purusharshabha purusham tam vijanimo vakya bheda vimohitaha navayam klesha bijani yatasyu purusharshabha purusham tam vijanimo vakya bheda vimohitaha navayam klesha bijani yatasyu purusharshabha purusham tam vijanimo vakya bheda vimohitaha navayam klesha bijani tashuya shantam vijanimo shantam vijanimo vakya bheda vimohitaha navayam klesha bijani Yatasyu Purusharshava Purusham Tam Vijanimo Navayam Klesha Bijani Yatasyu Purusharshava Purusham Tam Vijanimo Vakya Bheda Vimohita Navayam Klesha Bijani Yatasyu Purusharshava Purusham Tam Vijanimo Vakya Bheda Vimohita. Vaishnavis. Navayam Klesha Bijani Yathasyu Purusharshava Purusham Tam Vijanimo Vakya Bheda Vimohita. Translation and purport by Isi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. O greatest among human beings, it is very... O greatest among human beings, it is very difficult to ascertain the particular miscreant who has caused our sufferings because we are bewildered by all the different opinions of theoretical philosophers. So I'll be repeating again and again so that we can assimilate more. O greatest among human beings, it is very difficult to ascertain the particular miscreant who has caused our sufferings because we are bewildered by all the different opinions of theoretical philosophers. Purport by Prabhupada. There are many theoretical philosophers in the world who put forward their own theories of cause and effect, especially about cause of suffering and its effects on different living beings. Generally, there are 6 great philosophers. Kanad, the author of Vaisheshika philosophy. Gautam, the author of logic. Patanjali, the author of mystic yoga. Kapila, the author of Sankhya philosophy. Jaimini, the author of Karma Mimamsa. And Vyasdev, the author of Vedanta Darshan. Although the bull, or the personality of religion, and cow, the personality of earth, knew perfectly well that personality of Kali was direct cause of their sufferings, still, as devotees of the Lord, they knew very well also that without sanction of the Lord, no one could inflict trouble upon them. So here, what is written is, there are 2 personalities. One is cow, another is bull. Who is bull? Bull is personality of religion. And cow is personality of earth. And they were knowing who is their cause of suffering? Personality of Kali. Still, as the devotees of Lord, they knew very well, without sanction of Lord, no one could inflict trouble upon them. So they were aware that without sanction of Lord, no one can inflict sufferings or trouble on them. According to Padma Puran, our present trouble is due to the fructifying of seedling sins. So according to Padma Puran, our own present trouble is due to fructifying of seedling sins. But even those seedling sins also gradually fade away by execution of pure devotional service. Thus, even if the devotees see the mischief mongers, they do not accuse them for the sufferings inflicted. They take it for granted that mischief monger is made to act by some indirect cause. And therefore, they tolerate the sufferings, thinking them to be God-given in small doses. For otherwise, the suffering should have been greater. Maharaj Parikshit wanted to get a statement of accusation against the direct mischief monger, but they declined to give it on the above mentioned grounds. Speculative philosophers, however, do not recognize the sanction of the Lord. They try to find out the cause of sufferings in their own way, as will be described in the following verses. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, such speculators are themselves bewildered, and thus they cannot know the ultimate cause of all causes is Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna. Jaitam Surator Pango Mama Manda Matirgati Matsarvasva Padam Bhojo Shri Radha Madan Mohano Katanchan Smrte Yasmin Dushkaram Sukaram Bhavet Vispret Vipratim Syat Shri Chaitanya Navamitam. So I seek blessings of all the Vaishnavas, all my teachers, all senior devotees present here who are hearing online, everyone. And especially my humble obeisance to all Vaishnavas of the ISKCON of all world. And I can speak about this wonderful philosophy of Bhagavatam. It's very nourishing and very much fundamental. So we will go very systematically to understand this purport because it's very deep. I'm not able to understand fully, but I will try to explain. So the point is, in Srimad Bhagavatam, in first canto, there are 19 chapters. How many chapters? 19 chapters. And we are at current chapter number 17. And what is happening is, Parikshit Maharaj has seen a person dressed as a king, a Shudra type person dressed as a king. He's trying to kill a bull, and cow is also weeping aside. And the bull has only one leg remaining. That is a scene. And then Parikshit Maharaj, as the king, has a responsibility to protect his citizens. So he immediately inquires from the bull, my dear bull, who is the cause of your suffering? That is question posed by Parikshit Maharaj to the bull. And the bull answers this. O greatest among human beings. Who is greatest of human beings? Parikshit Maharaj. It is very difficult to ascertain the particular miscreant who has caused our sufferings, because we are bewildered by all the different opinions of theoretical philosophers. So this is a very wonderful section, and I went through one nice article written by Gaurang Darshan Prabhu in Bhagavad Pradipika. So Bhagavad Pradipika is a monthly magazine, and you can go in vidyapit.in, you get monthly magazine there. So in that, this article is there, who is the cause of my suffering? What we are discussing right now is who is the cause of my suffering. And the gist of this article, so we will go through this article in maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And we'll also try to see what are the different Acharya speak about that, and also what I have thought about it. So I'll share with you. So going through this article, the gist of this article is, it is liberating experience to stop shifting blame. It is liberating experience to stop shifting blame and accept responsibility with tolerance, forgiveness, gratitude, and dependent on God's will. So I will repeat it again. So what is the experience? It is liberating experience. From what? To stop shifting blame. Okay, so I'll give you an example. What happens? Everyone has heard Mahabharata. So in Mahabharata, there is a pastime where, there are two friends. One is Drupad and another is Drona, right? So Drupad and Drona, they were very nice friends, and they were studying in same school. So when we are studying in the same school, sitting on the same bench, there is affection, there is a good relationship. So in that friendship, Drupad had promised Dronacharya that when I will become king, I will give half of my kingdom to you. That was his promise. And later what happens? when they pass out, Dronacharya is on his way, he's a Brahmana, and then he happens, he's a Brahmana, poor Brahmana, and he has son Ashwathama. And Dronacharya is not so, wealthy. So he's not having sufficient for Lakshmi to provide, even milk. So the mother of Ashwathama is to give milk, it's like a mixed, what is that? Atta. Atta में दूध डाल के she used to give. पानी डाल के. हाँ, पानी डाल के वो देती थी. So he was not able to provide even milk to his son. So Ashwathama got, one day he got real milk and he was really crying. So that time Dronacharya decided, okay, I will go to my friend. To whom? Drupada. And then I will take his help. And he went to Drupada and he asked, oh my dear friend, So as soon as he said, my dear friend, so Drupada said, which friendship? Friendship is between equals, like that. And then he started insulting, like that. And then because of the insult, he just gave something and then Dronacharya went up. And Dronacharya was very hurt. So then he was blaming whom for his misery? He was blaming his, because he was giving his blame of his misery to Drupada. Because of him I am miserable. So what he did, when he taught this Pandavas and Kauravas, and after that there was a time for Guru Dakshina. So he asked in Guru Dakshina, bring that Drupad captured and put at my feet. So we know that first Kauravas went and they was nicely defeated. And then our hero Arjuna goes and he defeats Drupada. And then Drupada is been put at the feet of Dronacharya. So now the situation is changed. So then Dronacharya says, do you want to become my friend now? It seems you don't have anything, I have something. But I am not like you. I will give my half kingdom to you. Now we can be friends. So again, there is an insult. And then who is at receiving end? Drupad. Now Drupad thinks, he is blaming because of this Drona I am suffering now. So then what he does, he goes for doing yajna. And he wants a son who will kill whom? Dronacharya. And he wants girl who will marry Arjuna. So he was intelligent. So then what happens? There was a yajna and who comes out? Drishtadyumna. And we know in Mahabharata, how there is a pastime where Dronacharya is very powerfully fighting and they don't know how to, stop him. And at that time, the pastime is there, how this Ashwathama is killed, all these things, and then Dronacharya sits, he gives up all his weapons. And at that time, Drishtadyumna takes his sword, and he kills Dronacharya. He didn't have even any weapons. That was not right, but there was a killing. So then what happens? Ashwathama is very angry, and then he is thinking, now I have to kill this Drishtadyumna. He has done injustice. And then what happens? How Drishtadyumna is killed? Drishtadyumna was sleeping in his tent without anything, and then this Ashwathama goes and with his pillow, he kills Ashwathama. So these are things going on in a blame game like that. And I read all these things in a book, Practical Tips of Mind Control by Radha Prabhu. So he gives three examples. So this was the first. Then he speaks about second, like how our Dhruva Maharaj, when he was small, he wanted to sit on the lap of his father, Uttanapad. And he wanted to sit on his lap. He goes to his father and says, I want to sit. And then there is a stepmother, Suniti, I think Suruchi. She says, if you want to sit on the lap of your father, you have to take birth from my womb. Imagine 5-year boy. But he is a Kshatriya. He becomes so disheartened. And he is miserable again. And then he decides, I want to have kingdom very bigger than my great-grandfather. But in this case, fortunately, he meets his mother, Suniti, and she guides him to Lord, And when he's going, he meets devotee, whom? Our Narad Muni. And Narad Muni says, Arey, why you are so disturbed? Why you are miserable? You are small boy, just go and play, But he says, see, what you are saying is okay, all these things, but, I want the kingdom. And then our Narad Muni gives him the mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. And we know the past time how Dhruva Maharaj focused on beautiful chants the mantra and focus on Lord. And Lord appears and how he offers the prayers and he comes back. And third pastime is given in that book is of Parikshit Maharaj. So Parikshit Maharaj, he is going for a hunting and there he happened to become thirsty. And then he wants water and he goes to Shamik Rishi. So when Shamik Rishi is in his meditation and he wants some water, he asks for water and Shamik Rishi is not able to give it because he is in meditation. And then because it is desire of Lord, the Parikshit Maharaj takes that dead snake and puts around the neck of Shamik. And when Shringi, the son of Shamik Rishi, comes to know, he immediately curses. He will die because of the Takshaka, biting of Takshaka. And when Parikshit Maharaj understands this, he simply folds his hands, takes it as a mercy of the Lord. So these are the three case studies. So we come to the point that, there is a blame game happening in generally. We blame. So we come to this part again. Who is the cause of my suffering? So it is liberating experience to stop shifting blame. So we can get liberating from this shifting blame and accept responsibilities with tolerance. First is tolerance. Second, forgiveness. Third, gratitude. And fourth, dependence on God's will. These are four things. Tolerance, forgiveness, gratitude, and depend on God's will. So we'll go through this. How can I suffer? Endeavoring for happiness and attempting to avoid suffering are natural. So everyone is trying to minimize the misery. Oftentimes, however, we don't get happiness as we expect and we can't escape suffering despite our determined efforts. When one's seamless plans lead to tragic results, when one's good deeds with integrity end up in tremendous tribulations, one naturally experiences confusion and bewilderment. The natural response of an average human being towards suffering is to identify its cause beyond oneself. So generally, an average person thinks, why I am suffering? So I remember of Rajbihari Prabhu's lecture that generally when the child is small, suppose he falls down, so he starts crying. So immediately what parents do is, they hit the floor. He said, oh, because of this floor, you are suffering. So it has been imbibed, I am suffering because of others. That is been trained from unconsciously from our childhood. So it's general, मैं इसकी वजह से suffer कर रहा हूँ. And generally no sensible person acts to suffer. But when suffering comes, nonetheless, one tends to blame its immediate cause. For instance, Uttama, the brother of most famous King Dhruva, was killed by an yaksha. We know this pastime, Uttama was killed by yaksha, right? Considering the yaksha's offenders, Dhruva attacked them and started killing them to avenge his brother's death. So Dhruva Maharaj says, because of this yaksha, my brother is killed, so I will take revenge. We often hear that we reap the results of our own actions. So there are different things, why we are miserable. We are less analyzing. We think because of others. Now the second paragraph says because of maybe our karma. So we often hear that we reap the results of our own actions. The pleasant and unpleasant experiences in our life are consequences of our own deeds. Most people generally tend to take credit for their success and conveniently believe that their happiness is due to their own good work. But when one's action produces unintended results, one thinks is it really due to my action? So common person is not ready to take the responsibility. कि मेरे वैसे थोड़ी हो गया ऐसा. Now what religious people think, we'll see that. Even religious people and devotees who believe that God is the cause of everything also get bewildered in the suffering. So devotees also get bewildered. Srila Prabhupada writes, in case of benefit, no one will deny that it is God sent. But in case of loss or reverses, one becomes doubtful how the Lord could be so unkind to his devotees as to put him in a great difficulty. So I had gone to our satellite center where the students were asking, Prabhuji, I am a devotee. I am chanting 16 rounds. And there is my one friend. He is not chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But he is getting good marks. I am not getting good marks. Why it is like that? Why bad things happen with good people? Generally it happens like that. So I said, you can pray to the Lord, He give me good intelligence. You can attend some seminars how to study better. Definitely Lord is merciful. But then again I said, when we are chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So actually the meaning of Mahamantra is, O Radharani, O Krishna, O Radharamanji, please engage me in your service. That is our prayer. So but when we are chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and we are praying, Krishna please give me this, Krishna give me that, actually we are thinking, O Radharani, O Krishna, O Ram, please engage in my service. So that is a different thing. So then when I explained that, he understood that while chanting, I should be really prayerful so that, I want to engage in Krishna's service, not I want to engage Krishna in my service. So now let's go to next topic. So basically in this article, there are subheadings. First is, how can I suffer? Second is, what are the expert opinions? Third is, who is the real cause? Then blame leads to more blame. Then it's inevitable, try to endure. And last is mature vision and responsible action. So now let us see what are the expert opinions on who is the cause of my suffering. Different philosophers identify the cause of suffering in various ways. Once Maharaj Parikshit, the great emperor, now this pastime is happening. Maharaj Parikshit, the great emperor of the world, saw a low-born man dressed as a king, beating a bull and a cow. He is actually the personality of Kali, the current age of quarrel and hypocrisy. The bull is Dharma, the personality of religion, and cow is Dhara, the personality of earth. Parikshit, being a responsible king, immediately wanted to kill Kali for his heinous deed for torturing the cow and the bull, which are like our mother and father. However, he wanted to get a statement of accusation against Kali. So he inquired from the bull about the preparator. So basically, Kali is doing mischief. He is causing trouble to bull and the cow. And our Parikshit Maharaj wants a statement of, they are doing like that. So he wanted statement of accusation against Kali. But the Dharma gave a very interesting answer. What he said? It is very difficult to ascertain particular miscreant who has caused our sufferings. Because we are bewildered by different opinions of philosophers, Dharma continued. And then next verse, tomorrow we'll see. Some of the philosophers who deny all sorts of duality declare oneself to be responsible for personal happiness and distress. So some say we are responsible. Others say superhuman powers are responsible. And while yet another say activity is responsible. And the gross materialistic maintain nature is ultimate cause. Thus, different philosophers declare different causes of suffering, namely self-atma, because of self we are suffering, because of superhuman powers we are suffering, because of our actions we are suffering, and nature, subhav, we are suffering. So now, next para is, who is the real cause actually? So such explanation about cause of suffering may not be incorrect. These are the four things. These are not incorrect, but they are certainly incomplete. For they do not recognize the sanction of Supreme Lord, which is the ultimate cause of all causes. So we have to understand Ishvara Param Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. So this is a very beautiful passage now. Although the symptoms of a disease indicate an immediate cause, an expert physician traces out the root cause. Painkiller may relieve the immediate physical pain, but proper diagnosis of medication are needed to treat the patient. So we generally give this example, it's a person having a boil. So if he goes to a person, there is an ointment and then the boil goes away. Then boil comes to another part of the body, then again ointment. But if he goes to an Ayurvedic doctor, he said, the blood is impure, let us purify the blood. So basically, one should go to the root cause. The mature person tries to identify the cause behind the immediate cause and thus traces out the ultimate cause of the misery. Srila Prabhupada writes, although the bull and the cow knew perfectly well that personality of Kali was direct cause of their sufferings, still as devotee of the Lord, they knew well also that without the sanction of the Lord, no one could inflict trouble upon them. Thus, even if the devotees see mischief mongers, they do not accuse them for the sufferings inflicted. They take it granted that mischief monger is made to act by some indirect cause, and therefore they tolerate the sufferings, thinking them to be God given in small doses, for otherwise suffering should have been greater. So one of the pastime is one of our devotee was doing sabji cutting at Prabhupada when Prabhupada was there, and then he got small cut on his finger. He said, Prabhupada, why I am suffering? So then Prabhupada said, okay, you got very less suffering actually. You were supposed to have big suffering, but you got very small token like that. Thus the bull says, apratarkyat anirdeshyat iti keshu api nishchaya. There are also some thinkers who believe that no one can ascertain the cause of distress by argumentation, nor know it by imagination, nor express it by words. This cause that cannot be ascertained actually indicates supreme personality of Godhead, who is inconceivable to the ordinary mortals. When Dhruv attacked the Yakshas, at one point he became so outrageous that he started annihilating the entire race of Yakshas. So there was a very fierce fight, and then Dhruva Maharaj went on killing like anything. Then Dhruv's grandfather Swayambhanu came and advised him, please understand that the Supreme Lord, who has inconceivable energies, is the cause of all causes. The Yakshas are not killers of your brother, because the Supreme Lord is the ultimate cause of birth and death. So that was an understanding. So second point is, blame leads to more blame. If we blame the immediate and intermediate cause of our suffering without maturely understanding the ultimate cause, we only find ourselves entangled in the process of blaming. Because once blaming inspires others to blame, and this contagious blame game expands to multiple people for a long time. So we saw that the Drupad Drona thing like that. Srimad Bhagavatam presents the story of Avanti Brahmana to teach how one should tolerate the disturbances of evil persons. Harsh words pierce the heart more severely than arrows. How many of you have experienced this? Harsh words, Okay. Avanti Brahmana considered them to be simply consequences of his own deeds and tolerated them soberly. So this is a very high thing, So I remember of some of the lectures spoken by His Grace Gaur Gopal Prabhu. You don't react but respond. One of the Prerna lecture he was giving life's amazing secrets. So he had that demonstration. Like he showed one soda bottle and he shook it very much. And then opened, there was a fuzz out of it. And then he shook that water bottle and there was nothing. So the neophytes have that tendency to react like that, Neophyte always fight like that. And so here is a Avanti Brahmana, a very exalted person. I'm not able to speak more on that because I'm not that level, but I will just explain again nicely. So however, in due course of time, he lost his wealth. So Avanti Brahmana, he was greedy, angry and miserly agriculturist and merchant. बहुत कंजूस थे, कुछ देते नहीं थे. And then in due course of time, he lost his wealth and was abandoned by everyone. Thus, he developed a deep sense of renunciation and began to see Krishna's hand in his life and did not blame anyone outside him for his sufferings. He says, these people are not cause of my happiness and distress. Neither are the demigods, my own body, and the planets, my past work or time. So we can see like different devotees have different understanding. In Bhagavatam, different sections, there are different answers. So Avanti Brahmana is saying, these people are not cause of my happiness and distress. Neither are the demigods, nor my body, the planets, my past work or time. Rather, it is a mind alone that causes happiness and distress and perpetuates the rotation of material life. Okay. So now, this is a one theory. We will go into 5-6 theories more. Okay. So we have been blessed with Bhagavatam Subodhini. In Subodhini, His Grace Gaurang Darshan Prabhu has given very nice explanation. So there is one, in Subodhini, at the end there are, this thematic compilation. So one of the thematic compilation is reversals and tolerance. So here there are personalities who have exhibited the tolerance. So there are different case studies. So there is a chart. First is personality. कौन व्यक्ति है? Then what was the reversal they went through? What was their response? And what are the lessons by Srila Prabhupada? So I will repeat again. First is personality. किसके साथ हुआ था? Second is what reversal they went through. Third is what was their response. And what are the lessons by Srila Prabhupada for us? So first is personality Srila Vyasadeva. Okay, so what reversal he went through is, he felt dissatisfied even after writing extensively. So imagine Vyasadeva has written so many things, Mahabharata and all these things, but he felt dissatisfied even writing so many things. So what was his response? He became introspective and took shelter of Narad Muni. And what is the lesson? It is good to approach a personality like Narad to solve the root cause of all despondencies. So my question to all of you is, do we remember someone who was despondent or miserable or dissatisfied and went to some authority for his solution? Can we remember someone? Like, before coming to class, I told the sound system people, please keep sufficient water, because my situation is like Arjuna, not like that, when he was in the battlefield, mukham parishushyati tvakcha paridhyate. So that is the example we can think of. Like when we are like sometimes miserable, and then Krishna and Arjuna took shelter of Krishna, Shishyasteham shadhimam tvam mam prapannam. Also we see that great personalities, also out of their humility, also when they go to senior devotees or Lord, they are always humble. We can learn from Sanatana Goswami, when he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then he put the straw in his teeth and he offered his open chest and he said, please let me know who am I, why I am suffering, like that. So these are the things, when we are in distress, we go to the devotees or we go to Lord Krishna. So I just remember another pastime, which is my favorite pastime, that how devotees are so merciful, I actually have thought to start with the lecture with that. There's a beautiful pastime where in Vrindavan, at Radha Kund, there was a she-jackal. She was roaming here and there were some miscreants there. And they were notorious, and they started pelting stone or that she-jackal. And then that jackal started running here and there, and finally, to save herself, she hid inside one pit. एक खड्डा था, खड्डे में जाके वो छुप गई. But these notorious people were very notorious. They were in different degree. So this is a pastime, I think. So what they do is, they put some wood and all this thing and they put fire on it. So imagine one is in the pit and there is a fire and she-jackal started crying out, and Radharani happened to hear her crying. And as soon as she heard this crying, she immediately sent Lalita Sakhi. Lalita Sakhi came and she immediately make these people go away from there. She, what she did is, she stopped that whole fire and then took that she-jackal and put at the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. And as soon as Srimati Radharani's touch was there, she transformed into Gopi and she became the servant of the Gopis. So what we can learn from this is, this she-jackal represents the living entity like us, and we are suffering in this world, and there is, every day in the morning we chant this Mangalarti, Sansara Dava Nala Lead Loka Tranaya Karunya Ghana Ghana. So we are suffering in this world, and you are praying. And when we are praying, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So when we are praying to Radharani, in Hare Krishna Mahamantra, there is 8 times Radharani name come, So actually, how much seriously we should be chanting the holy names? No, it should be life and soul while chanting the holy names. So at the end of the lecture, I think end is coming, 15 minutes. So I will tell it now only. So when we are in misery, we try to, take shelter of the holy name of the Lord. But it's very important we have to take shelter of holy name very properly. When we are chanting of the holy name, what is happening is we are trying to hear the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. But unfortunately, what happens, if we are not spiritually strong enough, which is a general case, like neophyte people, we don't have much strength. But those who are devotees, very advanced, they have a lot of strength. They are focused in chanting. So while chanting, what happens? We generally try to think about so many things. Right? When we are chanting, what are the thoughts come to us? I will do this. I will do that. He is thinking about me like that, while chanting. So the science is, we are soul, and we have a subtle body, mind, body, man, buddhi, ahankar. Mind, intelligence, and false ego, and this is our body. So we are identifying with ourselves as a body through our false ego. So false ego has two servants. How many servants false ego has? Two servants. One is mind, another is intelligence. So mind, what is the function of mind? Accept, reject. Thinking, feeling, and willing. So suppose someone comes, Prabhuji, you are so nice. Mind says accept. Why? It is glorifying the false ego, master. So whoever glorifies the false ego, mind accepts. Whatever is good for false ego, mind accepts. And who is not, mind rejects. And what intelligence does is, it just assists the mind. So mind accepts some person, intelligence will see good qualities in that person. And if mind rejects some person, intelligence will see the bad qualities. So when we are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we have choice to serve our own false ego or serve Krishna. That choice is always there. So when we are chanting, if we are thinking, I will do this, I will do that, this is happening, उसने ऐसा बोला था, ऐसा सेवा करूँगा, वैसा lecture दूँगा, whatever we are thinking, me, I, who we are serving? We are serving our false ego. But instead of that, if we are just hearing the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We are praying to Radharani, Krishna, Radha Ramanji, please engage me in your service. So 2 hours, if we are praying to Krishna, Krishna will engage in his service. But 2 hours, if we are serving our false ego, what we are doing? Oh Krishna, oh Radharani, Radharani, please engage in my service. And whole day for 22 hours, we are just trying to engage everyone in our service. So it is very simple. Krishna consciousness is very simple. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. It is very simple actually. It's not complicated. You have to just chant nicely and Krishna will engage in his service. So coming back to the main point, reversal and tolerances. So I just told once past time that the she-jackal, she was suffering and Lalita Sakhi came and then saved her and put at the lotus feet of Radharani. So when we are chanting the holy names, we are praying to Radharani and Radharani sends spiritual master. Lalita Sakhi is spiritual master or devotees. So whoever are devotees sitting here are blessings of Srimati Radharani. If you want to count the blessings on us, please start counting the devotees of ISKCON. Every devotee in ISKCON is a blessing of Radharani for us. So it's very important that we should value these blessings. So I will just go sidewise and come back. These blessings are so important that our dealings with these devotees has to be very, very profound. I heard from Gaurang Prabhu, attentive chanting will lead to attentive dealing. Attentive chanting will lead to attentive dealing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. If you are attentive in chanting, we are full absorbed in Krishna. Krishna has blessed us, Krishna has empowered us. With that positivity, we can always serve devotees. Otherwise, we will try to engage devotees in our service. And second thing is, quality chanting will lead to quality seva. So quality chanting. So when we chant the holy name, we will get quality association. I had an experience. I was in a hostel so many years back, and maybe 3 o'clock I got up early in the morning. Maybe some mosquitoes were biting me. So I got up. And at that time, I chanted Hare Krishna Mahantra very intensely. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And at that day, I came to the temple. There was Sunday feast, there was nice kirtan, and there were so many circles of. Then I was in the last circle dancing, and then I went to second circle. Then was the central circle, and then I was very fortunate to dance with His Holiness Chandramouli Swami Maharaj. So this is the way how the holy name is there. It's non-different from Krishna. It's very simple. If many of you have laptops, you have mobiles. So what is the most important thing in mobile or laptop? What is the most important thing? Password. What is the most important thing? Password. Whichever company mobile you have, laptop you have, if you don't know the password, we cannot access it. So Naam, holy name, is a password. To Naam is password to Roop, Guna, Leela and everything. So if you chant the holy name, we will have more darshan of Sheshi Radha Gopinath. We will have opportunity to more hear about Lord Krishna. Naam, then Roop, then Gun, then Leela. So everything, you put password, Naam, Roop, Guna, Leela appears. In the laptop, photo comes. We can hear the lecture. We can see the form. We can do everything. So without holy name. So that's why we are suffering basically, because we don't have spiritual strength. I was reading from our Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's article. Krishna consciousness is so beautiful, so nice. Why we are suffering then? He gave example. When there is a sunlight, everything is nice. We should do our bhakti very nicely actually. And then when sun is covered by some cloud, then if there is darkness, then whatever we have done nicely, it will help us. Like that. So that's why there are three things, There is His Grace Radha Gopinath Prabhu gives very wonderful lectures. So one of the lecture, he stood here and he made one nice diagram of a tree. So in a tree, he made some roots. Then there is a trunk and there is the crown. So he told Name Ruchi is like a roots. Then this trunk is like Vaishnava Seva and the crown is Jivdaya. So the point is, if we want to chant the holy name of Krishna, we should have sufficient strength. And sufficient strength will come by surrendering to Krishna, surrendering to devotees. Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite para, tomara shakti ache. Ami to kangala, Krishna Krishna kori, dhai tava pache pache. So for alone, ekaki amara nahi payable. And alone what we can do? Alone we are with our mobile. So mobile, nothing so special. So alone we cannot do much. But if we do start Sushurya Shabda Dhanasya Vasudeva Kastasya. So by Vaishnava's grace only, there is nice bhajan, Oh hey Vaishnava Thakura Dayarasa. So Chaya Begadami, Chaya Dosha Shodhi, Chaya Guna, Dehodasya, Chaya Satasanga. So there are 6 urges. Vacho Vegam, Manasakrodha Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udarutu. Very much difficult. Tongue, belly, generates, they are in the same line. Huh? So our Sudama Prabhu says, why tongue is called tongue? Because both tongue karti hai isliye. So the thing is, if we want to control our senses, it's not possible. Not possible. There is a pastime where Lord Krishna is eating with the cowed boys, and then there is a famous time Brahma Vihon Leela, and this the cows and they are disappearing. So these boys are perked up. Then Krishna said, don't worry, you eat, I will search. So Krishna is Rishikesh. So if you take shelter of Krishna and more than Krishna's devotees, it is possible to control our urges. Then Chaya Guna Dehodasi. Chaya Dosha Shodhi. There are 6 doshas. What are those? Atyahara, Prayasasya, Prajalpo, Niyamagra. So by Vaishnava's grace, we can overcome that. Chaya Guna Dehodase. What are the 6 gun? Utsahat, Nishayat, Dharyat. What is Utsaha? Endeavor with intelligence. So intelligence comes from Guru Sadhu Shastra. It is only devotees. Devotion comes from devotees. Devotees are heart and soul of Lord Krishna. Krishna sits in the heart of devotees, sitting in their heart. So pleasing Vaishnavas is very important. And if we are in the association, what is the greatest misery actually? The greatest misery of the life is to be away from association of devotees. That's why one of the highest prayer is Tandera Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanevas Janame Janame Hoi Ehi Abhilash. So we should be crying out Ramachandra Sangamage Narottama Das. See, when Dhruv Maharaj is seeing the Lord he's asking, please give me association of devotees. Prahlad Maharaj, he's seeing the Lord. He's asking for the association of devotees. So now, if we are in the association of devotees, we should be knowing how to behave with devotees, how we can serve devotees. Because we will always have a choice to serve our false ego or serve a Vaishnava. So best is to serve Vaishnava. But for that, we should have spiritual strength. And that will come by sincere seva, by practice, by prayers. So again, devotees are similar. What I was explaining is, then when we chant the holy name, Radharani sends devotees. So that's why attentive chanting will lead to attentive dealing, quality chanting will lead to quality dealings. So we come back to this thematic compilation. So Vyasdev, he was dissatisfied and he took shelter of Narad Muni. Similarly, Arjuna took shelter of Krishna. Second is Narad Muni in previous life. When his mother died, he was 5 years old. What was his response? He took this as a special mercy of Lord. And what lesson we can learn? Confidential devotees of Lord see in every step a benedictory direction of the Lord. What is considered to be odd or difficult moment in the mundane sense is accepted as special mercy of Lord. So Lord, this Narad Muni saw that my mother has left me. This is a mercy of Lord. Maybe I have to take shelter of Lord Krishna more. And he took it like that. Third is personality is Draupadi. When her 5 sons were killed by Ashwathama, what was her response? She didn't want to kill Ashwathama. She didn't want Kripi to go to same experience. That is the heart of a devotee. A pure devotee, what are the lessons? A pure devotee of Lord can tolerate all sorts of tribulation personally, but is never unkind to others, even to enemy. That is a teaching. Then is Uttara. What was the situation she had? Reversal, Brahmastra attack on the womb of her embryo. And what was the response? She immediately took the shelter of Lord Krishna. And Krishna came and protected our Parikshit Maharaj. Lord is the only shelter of fearlessness for the surrendered soul. One cannot save himself from the cruel hands of death in the material world without having surrendered himself at the lotus feet of Lord. So Lord is the ultimate shelter. Then Queen Kunti, this is a very special case. Many difficulties throughout her life. What she did is, she prayed for more calamities to have darshan of the Lord. So she is so much attached to Lord because the calamities Lord is in her life. That's why she is saying, please let it be, but I want your association. For a pious person, what is the lesson? For a pious person, if there is some calamity, there is no other alternative than to take shelter of lotus feet of the Lord. So-called calamities are welcome because they give us opportunity to remember the Lord, which means liberation from birth and death. Then Arjuna, when this was the greatest misery actually for Arjuna. That war was there, but more than that war what was the misery? When Krishna left this world, went back to spiritual. So separated from his intimate friend Krishna. So what he did is, same thing, he took shelter of Lord's instruction. He remembered the pastimes of Lord Krishna. So what is the lesson? Bhagavad Gita is not for benefit of Arjun alone, but is meant for terminating different types of miseries for everyone. And Arjuna took shelter of this great knowledge. Then Maharaj Parikshit, when he was cursed to die in 7 days, what was his response? He took it as Lord's mercy and cause of indifference towards worldly things. Immediately he took to shelter of Lord Srimad Bhagavatam. He took shelter of Sukadeva Goswami. So devotees are so forbearing that even though they are defamed, cheated, cursed, disturbed, neglected, or even killed, they are never inclined to avenge themselves. Fourth, next is Mother Earth and Dharma. So what was the reversal? Kali was torturing them, literally killing them, cutting the legs and all these things. So they did not point off Kali was the reason for their suffering. Devotees do not accuse mischief mongers. They take it for granted that mischief monger is made to act by some indirect cause, and therefore they tolerate the sufferings, thinking them to be God given in small doses. For otherwise suffering should be having greater. So this can be explained in this verse. That verse is Tattenu Kampa Susamikshamano. So basically, that is our understanding that whatever is coming is mercy of Lord. I was supposed to have bigger thing, but Krishna has mercifully given this much, like that. So that is the verse. Then So in this way, we can see how the personalities, they took it very nicely, the reversal, and how they faced it. And we'll just complete this article and we'll end. So it is inevitable, try to endure. So tattenu kampam susamikshamano bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam ridvag vapurbhir vidadhan namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadaya bhag. So my dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reaction of his past misdeeds, offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. And the last section is mature vision and responsible action. So we have to understand the miseries will come, but there should be some, vision should be mature, but there should be some action also. So what is a vision? One needs to maturely understand that without sanction of Lord, not a blade of grass moves. And now what can be our responsible action? Yet on a human plane, one needs to responsibly identify the intermediate cause of one's suffering and address the situation appropriately according to time, place and circumstances. So for example, I'll give you a basic thing. If you want to become a devotee of Lord, you have to chant the holy name of Lord. So if you want to chant the holy name of Lord, what is the best time to chant the holy name of Lord? Early morning. So I have made a formula, IMP. What is IMP? ISKCON's morning program. What is IMP? ISKCON morning program. So there are 64 items of bhakti. So in morning program, there are 52 items. So now if you want to attend morning program, what is very much important is early to bed, early to rise makes one healthy, wealthy, wise. So we can understand that if our sadhana is not good, if our attentive chanting is not good, our dealings will not be good. If you don't chant nicely, will not be. So basically, Krishna has three energies. How many energies? Three. One is internal potency, another is external potency. Srimati Radha, internal potency Radharani, external potency Durga Devi. And we are Tatastha Shakti. Sometimes here, sometimes there. So when we are chanting the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we are praying to Radharani to give her shelter. So imagine if you want to go to some company, we have to apply there. Then only we get a job. If you don't apply, who will get? There is one joke, One person was going to Ganeshji and he was praying very sincerely. Bhagwan, ghanti bajao. Bhagwan, mujhe lottery laga do, lottery laga do. After 12 years, Ganpati appeared and he gave a tight slap to him. And then he said, pehle lottery ticket to kharido. So the point is, it's very important that we should endeavor for what we want to get. So when we are chanting, we are requesting Radharani for the shelter. But if you don't chant the holy names, we will be under Durga Devi. And Durga Devi is sitting on what? Lion, and she is having Trishul. Three types of klesha: Adhyatmic misery, Adi Bhautik misery, and Adi Devik misery. So if you are not chanting, you will be under Durga Devi. And then the famous story of Pappu ki kahani. So www.com also. Work. For what? Want. And then worry. And then weep. P for Babhama, P for Parishram, B for Bhay, B for Bandhan, M for Mrityu. So if you are not under Radharani, we are going to become miserable for sure. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Chewing the chewed. There is nothing special in this material world. The misery is guaranteed. So if we chant the holy name, we will be under Radharani and all the auspicious qualities will develop. If you do bhakti, why miseries come? Because it starts with avidya. It starts with the misidentification. Avidya has 5 things. Our Srikant Krishna Prabhu today only taught me nicely. So he said there are 5 things. First is asmita. Asmita means misidentification with the, forgetting the, first is avidya, forgetting our eternal relation with Krishna. That Jivera Swarupa Krishna Nitya. So we forget that. That is the first avidya. Second is asmita, identifying with the body. So third is ichcha, I have written it. Rag means attachment to that thing. And then dvesh. And then abhinivesh. So the example is, Indra somehow, just to give an example, he's playing that role. So he was cursed to take a hawk's or pig's body. And then Brahmaji came, now time is over, you come back. He said, no, here are my children. Who will take care of them? So ignorance is like Kailash. Kailash story. Narad Muni comes to Kailash. Kailash, come with me. Just like, the preacher go and try to preach. So then, अभी नहीं, बाद में करते हैं ना, people respond. तो कैलाश what he did, कि अभी तो मैं नया हूँ, थोड़ा पढ़ना है, शादी नहीं हुआ है. Then after शादी, when Narad Muni comes, अभी शादी हुआ है, बच्चे होंगे, बच्चे के बाद Narad Muni went again, बोले अभी बच्चों का schooling है. In this way he was entangled. At last he has to become dog, and at last Narad Muni's mercy, when he was snake, he was killed and then he was liberated, something like that. So the point is abhinivesh. So first is, we are not understanding who we are, avigya, then asmita, false identification, then there is rag, attachment to that thing, dvesh, we are not happy if something is taken away, and abhinivesh, fully entanglement. So how we can get out of that is by bhakti, shuddha bhakti, pure devotional service. So when we do the bhakti, first thing happen is kleshagni, then shubhada, all these things happen. So when we chant the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem, Sadhya Kabhunoy, Shravnadi Shuddha Chitte, Kare Uday. So it's like a hard disk recovery, like that. When hard disk gets corrupted, there is a software. We put, it's rebuilt. Similarly, when we chant the holy name, we associate with devotees, we come to the temple, then we can revive our original spiritual thing. So we'll come to the end. Suffering, the essence is suffering is inevitable in this world, and that is how this material realm is made by Supreme Lord. But by understanding that it is sanctioned by Supreme Lord for own purification, so this is for own purification, and learning to tolerate it with forgiving heart. While responsibly acting, so action has to be also taken. Just like Srila Prabhupada, when he was told that your health is not good, go for morning walk. So he was going for morning walk. He was taking massage. So we have to do the needful to mitigate our miseries. If you are eating more and becoming sick, we should stop eating more. Simple. So the Bhagavatam promises, and then, so with forgiving heart, while responsibly carrying out according to divine teachings, one can transcend this world of suffering. Bhagavatam promises us that it relieves us from threefold miseries in the world. Tapotrayon Moolanam. Actually, Bhagavatam doesn't solve our health problems, financial problems, and so literally, but Bhagavatam equips our consciousness with necessary strength to see Krishna's merciful hand behind those miseries. What gives? It equips our consciousness. And by inspiring us to take shelter of process of bhakti, and again coming to the point, what was the essence? It is liberating experience to stop shifting blame and accept responsibility with tolerance, forgiveness, gratitude, and depends on God's will. So I will take just a couple of minutes now. So this was the presentation. And in my personal life, I have been benefited by hearing many of the exalted Vaishnavas here. So one of the book is, Mind Your Mind, where our Vraj Prabhu explained very nicely. First A is awareness of ourselves. First A is awareness. Who am I? Awareness. Nice 13 chapters are there. Second is acceptance of that. And third is aspiration. So, हम कहाँ है? Accept भी करना, aspiration going ahead. And it should be followed by actions also. So, when we read and hear these books, of Shubvilas Prabhu, then Gaur Gopal Prabhu, the lectures, the book, then our Vraj Prabhu's lectures, or written by all the seniors, they have given the essence. So, let us tune into these gems of these exalted Vaishnavas. They have really helped us, One of the things which I heard from Vraj Prabhu, there is a 3E formula, If you want to be happy, 3E formula is, E for one should be in his element, who understand our nature and accordingly engage. Second is one should be in right environment. And third is one should be having sufficient energy. So I will give a nice example. One time in the base, one of the devotees was sleeping in japa. He was tired. What I did is, I gave him limbu pani. So when he ate nimbu pani, he got energy and he chanted very nicely. So the point is, we have to have sufficient energy. We cannot start blaming, Arey, I am fatigued, I am fallen. That we can do later. But first, let's have some energy to chant holy name, to perform some bhakti. So we have to be very practical. 3E formula. One should be in the element, second energy, environment and element. Another thing Shubvilas Prabhu told me is, I was really miserable. I went to him, Prabhuji, how to be happy? Then he said, if you want to be happy, 3 things are required. One is self-development, second is good relationship, and third is contribution. So if anything happens in this, you will be miserable. If not, so self-development. What is self? Self means 4 things again. You know, if there is a vehicle, 4 चक्के होते हैं, तो एक चक्के में क्या है? एक चक्के में भी अगर हवा कम रहेगा, तो गाड़ी आगे नहीं बढ़ सकता है. तो what are the 4 things? One is our body, another is our mind, another is our intelligence, another is soul. So we have to learn everything. If अगर चपाती बनाना सीखा नहीं तो चपाती नहीं बना पाएंगे. If you don't learn to play kartal, we will not be able to play kartal. So basically, we have to learn everything basically. So there are 3 principles for success. I heard Bal Govind Prabhu. He said, first is, Hare Krishna. So first is mastery under a master. Because see, when we struggle, we have to know all these things. So first thing is mastery under a master. So if you want to learn Kung Fu, go to a master. So if you want to learn Bhakti, go to a devotee. So master, spiritual master or devotee. So first thing, most thing important is having a master. Mastery under a master. Second is right environment. Environment is the thing actually. You know, when you are not in right environment, it is very difficult. And third is incremental push. If you are doing X endeavor, add delta X. So 3 things for excellence like that. So if you want to, coming back to Shubh Vilas Prabhu's point, 3 things are there: self-development, relationship and contributions. For self-development, we have to develop all koshas. You know, in our Gopal garden, there is a very beautiful syllabus. They have training the boys, children very nicely. So all the koshas have been taken care there. One of our devotees has written book on Panchakosh, like that. He's in duty care in Bhaktivedanta Hospital. Then second is relationship. For relationship, we have to be very, very sensitive. We should be begging for Lord for the devotees actually. Otherwise, not possible. Again, I'm repeating, Tandera Charana Sevi, Bhakta Sanivas, Janame Janame Hoi, E Abhilash. So, non-violent communication, very important. So, I'm speaking all these things, but I miserably fail in this. I'm not able to deal with my parents or my fellow or seniors. But this is my aspiration that I can work on dealing properly. And how we can dealing properly? I heard a lecture of our Gaurang Darshan Prabhu in ILS, ISKCON Leadership Sangha. He said, when we start reading Bhagavatam, we develop taste for Krishna. And when develop taste for Krishna, we become attracted to Krishna. And when we become attracted to Krishna, devotees will become attracted to devotees. So when we take shelter of Bhagavatam, we become attracted to Krishna. When we attracted to Krishna, we take attracted to devotees. And devotees will attracted to you. So that is the source of having good relationship. Prasparanukathanam. So that is very important. When we are meeting devotees, share katha. Bolo Krishna, bhajo Krishna, karo Krishna shiksha. And because it is a Gaur Purnima, I really want to glorify Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why I had taken courage to come here. Generally, whenever the email comes to give Bhagavatam class, first thing I do is I delete that mail. But because this is a Gaur Purnima, I really wanted to glorify Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Kathanchan Smrite Yasmin, Dushkaram Sukaram Bhavet, Vismrate Viprimsya Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If you read Bhagavad Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu is so merciful, so loving. You know, one pastime is full of nectar. You know, he's so sensitive. When Amog is there, you know, how he delivers Amog. When Shrikant, when he's disturbed, he's there. Lord is saying, oh, he's disturbed. So, Lord pastime with every person, with Rup Goswami, with Sanatan Goswami, with Sarvam Bhattacharya. One of the pastime is so nectarian and so much of nourishing that how to have good dealings, we can read Chaitanya Charitamrita. You know, and if you can hear from Devamrit Swami Maharaj lectures, he has read CC like in and out. So if anyone who is reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, you know, he is good for devotee care. So our Damodar Prabhu is absorbed in Chaitanya Charitamrita. That's why he is able to do devotee care. Our Gaurang Priya Prabhu, he has given so many lectures of Chaitanya Charitamrita. That's why he is in their devotee care. So whoever is engrossed in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he can do devotee care. So if at all, if we should have a goal in life, agar mind ghum raha hai idhar udhar, like generally it happens with me, let's have one goal, devotee care. Lot of things to be done in devotee care. There are 12 recipients of care, like brahmacharis, grahastha, sannyasi, children, and there are 12 areas of care, like their spiritual health, material thing, then so many things. So let us pray on this auspicious day of Ekadashi that Kurute Surasam Jagata Jivanam. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come for us to make our life happy, to make us chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The devotees who are following the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whole parampara is giving our blood. Our Acharya has given their blood and life. Our spiritual masters, their god brothers, Prabhupada has given their life for upliftment of society. So if you want to become instrument in their hand, just like Prabhupada had suffered so much of heart attack. Imagine at the right, now noon 12 o'clock, this David becomes insane. He becomes pagal and he starts to kill. Even Prabhupada has to leave everything. What things Prabhupada has endeavored for us. So if you want to become an instrument, let us pray on this day. Every day we should pray, let us become an humble instrument in their hands so that we become purified and be at their lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sorry for overtime. Hare Krishna.